everybody. Welcome to In the Vine Dating Podcast. It is your host, Melissa Chavez. And today with me I have
Shekinah.
Yessie. Denise.
welcome everybody. And so as you can see, we're in a totally different venue. This time you can actually see our faces. Hello. We're at Greater Works Christian Church, which is our church, and we're in the back of the what is this?
Sanctuary.
The sanctuary. And so we're excited to be here for our second episode. We're so excited. Shout out to Ramsey, our Mr. Director.
Mr. Director.
Who
yes.
actually hit us up on Instagram and was like, hey, I have the perfect service for this. And so here we are today. So we're really excited about today's episode and we're excited to shout him out. Please follow him at Shade of Brown. Yeah, Shade of Brown. He's amazing. He's awesome. So we just want to thank you for your feedback and your support and encouragement for the first episode. It was actually really encouraging to hear all the nice words that you guys had for us. It was just amazing, and we felt so much love, right?
Yes.
We're going to be posting sooner or later just the different feedback that we got. Some of it was really funny. Some of it was a little critical. But we're definitely getting some tough skin around here.
Yes.
So how are you ladies? You ladies doing good? You feel comfortable?
Yes. Honestly, I just want to say that I was really taken back by just the amount of feedback and responses. And I think the engagement of
Yeah.
the people, I was
Definitely.
receiving personal messages and just face-to-face conversations and just the amount, like I said, of just engagement and interaction and just the what people really wanted to hear and be a part of.
Yes.
And it just goes to show that the need was there.
Right.
So
Yes.
that for me was just really encouraging. I mean, it's only been a few days, but it was just really, really encouraging for myself.
Right.
Knowing that what we are doing is kingdom
Yes.
because of the amount of interaction and engagement that I personally was receiving, from a lot of different people.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I wanted to say earlier, Melissa and I were looking at our RSS feed, and we are actually going all over California.
Nice.
From like Fresno, Fullerton, and it's just been how many days since Thursday?
Yeah.
Wow,
just-
that's
what
phenomenal.
more? And we got one listener in the UK. Holla! So as promised, and as we posted on our stories, we took a whole bunch of your questions to hear what it is that you wanted to know about in the Vine dating. I know we kind of just sprouted out from the ground, no pun intended. And so we really wanted to hear what mattered to you, right? What were the things that you guys were nervous about or just curious about the event? And so we took the time to listen to what you had to say. And so obviously we're going to answer them anonymously, so don't be afraid. If you have more questions after listening to this, please feel free to submit them. We got an overwhelming response, so we're actually going to divide this episode into two parts. Today, obviously, we're going to be doing the first part. And so if you hear your question answered, let us know on Instagram, download this podcast, let your friends know about it. I promise we're fun. Okay, so the first question that I'm going to ask is, this is a little awkward because I think I'm actually going to be the one to answer that first question. Why Christ and country? And what inspired this event? So Christ and country.
We tried earlier so bad not to say crunchy, and I think
Here we
that's why
are.
you said crunchy.
I got into my own head. Okay, so Christ and country. So one thing about us four ladies is we're diehard American lovers. We're patriotic. And the reason for that is not because it's some fad for us. It's literally foundational to our faith. And the reason why I say that is because I've seen how a love for America really inspires people of faith to be involved in our country, be involved with politics, be involved in new laws and legislation, which I'm sure Denise can definitely talk more about this. But not only that, and actually goes into a little bit as to what sparked this. So as I touched on the first episode, as far as like dating and how hard it is to find places that we can find suitable people that we can date for both men and women. I just recently went through a season where your girl was wilding out. And what I mean by wild, okay, no, but Christian wilding out, okay. Like not reading my Bible for a day, like relax, reel your mind back in. And so I was just getting like really discouraged, right? And so because it's really difficult to find people that align with your values. And so I remember actually Shekinah and I and our roommate, we went to Laughlin. And so while we were in Laughlin, there was a point there where we went into a lounge. And so I remember being in the lounge and I was like, this isn't right. Like, I know I shouldn't be here. And my friends are so supportive. They were there with me.
It's her birthday.
And they're so supportive. I love them. And so then I remember being on my way back home, the Lord spoke to me and he was like, you know, what you're doing is not right. And so he expanded on that because, you know, for a long time, I thought that when I found somebody to marry, I thought they were going to come alongside me and support the vision that God has given me. And I'm not saying that that's not true to a certain extent.
Right.
But as a woman, we've been created to be helpers. And so I believe that we have to come alongside men and help them achieve their vision. And if you're doing it correctly, your vision and his vision are going to come together. And so then the Lord spoke to me because I have standards, as we all should, right? I have standards for the person that I'm going to marry. And of course, they're not some ludicrous standards. Obviously, first of all, is love the Lord with all his heart, all his mind, all his strength. And secondly, is he a protector? He has to be a cowboy. That's on the list. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so I remember that the Lord spoke to me that, and so he's like, you're expecting a certain kind of man, not understanding that that certain kind of man is not going to be okay with the things that you're doing. And so that really sobered me up. I felt the fear of the Lord. I felt it inside my entire body. And so I'm like, okay, Lord, but where can I go to meet these people, right? Or this person, just one. And so then I've tried it before, but I went back on it again because, like we said last episode, faith without works is dead. I went on a Christian dating app. And so as I was on there, you know, people that say they're Christians, just because they have the title doesn't really mean that they're Christians, right? And I have to also check myself when it comes to that because I can't use that ruler to measure other people when I'm myself and not measuring up. So then I remember going on dates with a couple guys and it was just like, dude, like, you know, on paper it sounds good, but it's just not as honest and as genuine as when you get to meet somebody face to face because there is that genuine connection, right? And you can feel Holy Spirit. And I'm not saying Holy Spirit can't give you discernment through a screen or anything like that. Like there's been ample times where the Lord has spoken to me in regard to these things, but nothing beats human connection. And so right now culture is really trying to digitize everything. Right. Digitize connection, digitize even money, right? And so what we're doing with the Vine is it's so multifaceted, but what I want to lean into tonight or in this episode is creating that space where people can once again be vulnerable in front of other people. Like if you're waiting for a husband or a wife, but you're not willing to risk it, or you're not willing to be vulnerable, and you're not willing to have your heart broken a few times, then I can already tell you that you're setting yourself up for a certain standard that nobody's gonna meet. And if that person meets it, is because they're probably toxic, I'm not gonna lie, because now you're creating this idea of a person instead of creating a true, genuine connection with somebody where you get to see their flaws, you get to see their good, you get to see their vulnerability. And so in the Vine Dating, that's what we want to do. And of course, it's just one night, it's a couple of hours, but we want to do it in such a way as, again, we touched the last episode where it's kind of a controlled environment and you get to experience all of those things and walk out of there once again encouraged. Like, dude, this is amazing. The opposite sex really isn't as scary, or they're not as hard to connect with. And so at least that's what sparked it in me. I don't know if you wanna add anything else.
No, yeah. I actually had like 3 points as you were sharing that. Of just one, I wanted to address when we went to Laughlin. We were in a lounge. We weren't doing anything.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. We were literally sitting there.
We just sat there. We were judging everybody. But
it was a Sunday night crowd.
I'm a pastor's daughter, guys. No, but we went to, the purpose of Laughlin was, that was fun. I just wanted to clarify. Yeah. And we sat by the river for most of the day. But anyway, but you talking about vulnerability. And that's ultimately what this is vulnerability. And we've had people coming up and, you know, we'll invite people, and we've had so many people, so much positive feedback, and we've had so much engagement, so much excitement. But, you know, we've also had those few people that were a little skeptical, you know. Of course, that's with anything that we do. And I got to look at the mic. And I think the problem that we have is people aren't willing to be vulnerable, and there's an embarrassment there, but they're not willing to see it or admit it. And we had, for example, I had somebody tell me, to sign up for this event would make me look desperate, and I don't want to look desperate. Oof. And my response to that really is just, when you apply for a job, like you're not gonna, I want this job, but I don't want to apply because I might look too desperate. No, you're in a new season of maturity.
That's a good
and
point.
You're willing to go forward into what God has for you. And an event like this is, like we talked about in our first episode, guys, we're not trying to marry you off. First of all, chill. Calm down.
Oh my goodness.
But no, this is an opportunity to, like you said, make yourself available, make yourself open to that possibility of meeting somebody who you could maybe go on a date with. And like we're praying, someone that if you're meeting your spouse, we're praying that happens.
Yes.
But what we really want to see people do is there's that, to come shows vulnerability, and in that there's so much courage.
Yes.
Because that's stating, I'm in a new place of maturity and I'm ready to apply for this job. I'm ready to make myself available. Something that my own parents have always taught me is, eye contact, make yourself available. If you like somebody, go and say hi. And I feel like that's really what this event is about, is giving people that opportunity to do that, to make eye contact, human connection, and say, hey, I'm in a place of maturity. I'm in a new season of my life where I'm ready to meet somebody, and I know that you're here for the same reasons. Let's talk. Yes. And so there's courage in that, there's maturity in that, there's confidence in that, and yes, there is vulnerability, and with that all ties together to create something beautiful that God could potentially have for you.
Yes.
And isn't that the way that we're supposed to follow God? And anything that we do is there's that step of courage, there's a step of vulnerability, and there's just, Lord, I'm available.
Yeah.
And that's what an event like this is ultimately doing, is you're making yourself available to what God has for you.
Yes, and just to bring that point home, the country part, again, is patriotic. It's people that
argued about this.
Yeah, because
so
kind of like, people are going to be like, do I need to wear my cowboy boots?
Yeah,
yes,
I was like, I'm sorry, but I wouldn't show up thinking it's a country event.
Yeah.
But she clarified it's not country themed. You don't have to come in your cowboy boots and cowgirl boots, and that's not what it is. It's country as in the United States of America.
Yes.
You are patriotic, and that's what that means.
Yes.
So.
I think there's a question in there about country music, right?
Yes. Sorry, but before we move on to that question, do you want to add something?
Yes, I want to know. I can already hear the people asking, why is loving the country so important?
Yeah.
Let me answer that.
Yes.
How you do one thing is how you do everything. Yes. I live, and Melissa knows this, that I live by this, is when you're about God's kingdom, He will be about yours. And you can correct me, but you've seen me really walk that out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm about God's kingdom, and He's about mine. And if you read the Bible, God's about nations. God's about, leaving an inheritance for your children's children. He's about discipling nations. So if you can't love your nation, how can you love your spouse? How can you love your children to the depth and degree that is required, right? And even in that, like, God talks about, like, if you can't love your neighbor, like, who you can see, how can you love me who you don't see?
Right.
And so why? Because of that. Because it's much deeper than just the nation. Is America perfect? Absolutely not. Have we gone through crazy things? Yes. I'm just, I'm a first generation American, my parents descended from Mexico over here. So I understand the battle. I understand how America's not perfect. But I also understand what my parents did to provide the type of life that we have now. And as a American Mexican, or Mexican American, because I am a dual citizen, there's nothing more than better way to honor God, my father, and honor my parents than to steward what they did for me in such a proper way. And once again, I love to say, as a wife and as a mother, and even my husband, he's also Mexican, and went to Iraq, did a tour, and so just knowing if I can steward that and if I do that righteously, that really does transfer over to your marriage. It transfers over to your family. And so remember, we're multifaceted. We're generational. It's not just about the boy that you're going to date, but, hopefully eventually marry and start a family. So it transcends much further than just that in itself. So I just wanted to add that.
Yes.
That's great.
Thank you so much. So to answer somebody else's question that says, Do we have to like country music to come? It's encouraged. Ask me, I'll send you a playlist. I'm just kidding. No, you don't.
If you like country music, come. If you don't, still come.
Still come. As long as you like worship. Like,
Yeah.
at least Kim Walker, like Healing Oil, Oceans by Hillsong, just one. Okay, so what to wear? Is there a theme? So there really isn't a theme. I know on our website we have wear something that's comfortable, but me and Yessie were actually just talking about this. I think it's really important to show yourself respectfully, right? I think I recently was actually telling her that too. I recently went on a date, and the guy showed up. His shirt wasn't ironed. He didn't have a haircut. He didn't even have a hairdo. And I was like, dude, like, you know how long it took me to get ready? You know what kind of makeup I use for this?
Yes. One huge thing is, do you know how much a pump of foundation costs nowadays?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, I sat there, and obviously, you don't judge people by that only. But that was pretty on brand with the rest of the date.
Right.
And so I felt dishonored because I'm like, dude, like I took the time to get ready for you, to show you that I want to be intentional here, and you just kind of just show up. And so show up prepared. Show up like, again, the job interview thing that even Yessie used earlier.
Yeah. I managed a store, and I've interviewed many people, and the way that they present themselves, obviously you leave a first impression, right?
Yeah.
And so if that's for a job, how much more to meet your potential life partner,
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
That's a huge thing, but I also think that you should come being yourself also.
Right.
I'm going to throw my husband in there. I love
No
my husband. Yeah, I love my husband. He's amazing, and he's really into fashion. And I've known him for many years, and in the beginning times, I mean, he would wear a fur coat, you guys, like to events.
With shorts.
Yes, with shorts, yes. And so,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah. Some crazy stuff. But I remember, Melissa, I think you made a comment one time, and you said,
I'm sure.
do you remember the comment? You said, but are you okay with like how he dresses? Because Melissa knew I had a crush on him. And I said, yeah, I think that makes him himself.
Yeah.
Right.
And right away, Melissa's like, oh, I'm super happy that somebody that likes my friend can think that,
Right.
you know, that can accept them for who they are. So I think come, dress to impress, but be yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Like whatever's in your closet that makes you feel confident, that makes you feel
Yes.
comfortable, and that you know this is my key outfit. This
Yeah.
is what communicates my personality and what I want people to know about
Yeah.
me. You know, and like you said, modestly, of course.
Right.
Like we're not that kind of club.
It's not
We're
a
that
lounge
kind
on
of
a Sunday
mixer,
night in Laughlin.
You know, but again, that's just, I feel like that should be a no-brainer, especially when you're coming to a Christian event and trying to meet,
You'd be
you know,
surprised.
yeah, I mean, I know it has to be said because it has to be said,
Yeah.
but you know, you're meeting other Christian individuals who hopefully have that desire for, you know, being modest as
Right.
well, you know,
Yes.
so you just have to understand the crowd that you're in. And again, no catfishing.
Yes.
Like, don't come in a way that you would never dress, you know,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to, you know, like, we want you to feel comfortable. We want you to feel confident. And
Yes.
like Yessie was saying, was just, you know, her husband dressed in a way that was him.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It still
and
is.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what she loved about him. And so come you know, come in what,
Yes.
like when you put on that outfit and you're just like, this is it.
Just no crop tops, men.
Men.
Leave that at home, okay? Okay, next question is, this one's gonna be fun. Do pickup lines work in a church setting?
What is a good pickup line for in a church setting?
Right. I have to tell you guys what my husband said on that one. That was so funny.
Oh yeah, I love
I'm
that we
ready
got the
for it.
husbands involved in this.
Yes.
We have some guy answers for
Yeah.
you.
Yes. I'm gonna go ahead and look for the response. I'm sorry, I should have had it.
No worries.
but-
What would a pickup line be when a guy passes by and picks up like a bunch of chairs, right?
Oh.
Isn't that a huge thing? Like when they
Oh,
pick
that's
up
a
a lot of
thing.
Yeah.
chairs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a thing, especially in youth group. You know, like you get as many.
Yeah.
Man, that impressed me.
That guy can carry my burdens for sure.
How many chairs can you stack?
Yeah.
So my husband said, pickup lines work anywhere when used appropriately, but I'm personally not a fan of pickup lines. Just give her the look and it's over.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what works?
The right look.
There will
the
be
right
times.
look.
Worked in either.
That's what worked. I'm here 3 kids later.
Yeah.
My question is, what does that question mean? Like, what kind of pickup lines? Because I feel like pickup lines, they can work. I'm not gonna lie. There's been pickup lines that worked on me, but they were perfectly timed. I'm trying to think. And they were just mostly just like it was perfectly timed. It was a well thought out. They knew me well enough to know that they could make that.
Okay.
You know, and you know what I mean. So it's like comedy, right? You can tell a joke, but if the punchline isn't right or if it isn't timed right, it's not going to be funny.
Right. Know your audience.
I feel like I feel like pickup lines are the same way. They can work if you're confident enough, if you know the person well enough, or if you just have the right audience, you know, like if you say something silly or goofy, you might just find that girl that loves that sense of humor. I personally laughed at a guy's pickup line thinking that he was joking one time, and he walked away so offended. Yeah, and I was thinking, oh, this guy's so funny, and I started laughing because I thought he was joking. Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
I started laughing. There's no way that this guy is serious. I'm giggling. I'm laughing. Oh, you're so funny. That's hilarious. Can't believe it. And then he just walked away without saying a word. And I was like, oh gosh, he's serious. It was horrible. So yes, pickup lines can work. You just got to know your audience, because if he was being funny, I would have went for it. He wasn't being funny though.
And just know that there's a risk when you do a pickup line anywhere. And for example, like in Shekinah's story, it can backfire.
It can backfire.
So be careful.
You gotta have tough skin around these parts.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I mean, again, it just depends on the pickup line, depends on the crowd, you know, it's just that's a really hard one to answer.
I think it depends on how you're wired, because like you said, for some women it might work, for others it might not.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm like not a pickup line type. I wasn't, you know, so for me it wouldn't have worked. But
I don't feel like a lot of women are. It's more about just like, it is a joke. It is funny. You know what I mean? Like, I've never seen a pickup line actually make any woman swoon before. So if you're going in seriously with a pickup line, I would suggest a different strategy.
Yes, I agree.
Perhaps, you know.
I agree.
I'm
growing up in church, and then even like in Bible college, there's always that it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke, because a pickup line that a lot of the guys would use is, God told me we were supposed to get married. And obviously that's one, taking God's name in vain. You're saying what God said when he didn't say it. And so don't do that line. Don't go up to a random woman that you don't know. I've seen it all throughout church. In the parking lot after service. Like, I think God told me that we're supposed to get married. Creepy. Okay. And you might not even be wrong. Okay. Because I've heard amazing testimonies of that happening. But typically God tells you both. And that's a story and a testimony you can share together. But even then, you might not want to open that line. You just might want to ask her out on a date and then compare notes.
Right.
Yeah, and usually the people that's happened to are the ones that weren't even attracted to each other.
Yeah.
So the Lord had to tell you. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's a really good point, too, is a lot of people, they're always like, oh, God told us that we were supposed to get married. I'm like, did he have to?
Yeah.
You guys were already attracted to each other. I don't think he had to tell you that, you know, but it's usually God tends to intervene in those situations when you're opposing what he wants.
Right.
You know? Like,
I looked up actually while we were speaking Christian pickup lines.
Ready for it.
Oh, nice. Go for it.
There was one that goes with what you were just saying. It says, I believe one of my ribs belongs to you.
That's funny.
Yeah, no.
All right. Thank you for
Thank
for
you.
demonstration.
Don't use that one, guys. Yes, you just used it.
Work.
It doesn't work.
Okay, next question. I am a single parent. Can I still come? Who wants to take that?
I can take it. I would say I do actually mentor single women. And honestly, if one always heed to the advice of your leader, your mentor, definitely, because that supersedes anything we say. I want to first and foremost make sure we honor and respect that. Because I know, like I said, since I mentor women, if somebody were to come and say something opposite of what I'm saying, it might be right, but at the end of the day, like, do they know the full story of what's really happening? So one, let me make that clear. Two, I think that if you're in a place where you're willing and ready, if you've worked on whatever, hard issues you had that broke, even with, your baby daddy or whatever other relationships you were in.
Or baby mama.
Absolutely, because it goes vice versa. I think that if you are in the right place and you know if you're ready to take that step, I would say yes. One of the things that it goes along and I wanted to add to what Melissa had said earlier was about, taking that risk.
Yes.
My husband and I, we invest and we take risk, but we take calculated risk. So I would definitely say, and I think even John Maxwell talks about that in one of the books that we read about his leadership, is, taking calculated risks. So if you can honestly sit there and say, you know what, I'm ready to bring someone in, because it's not just you, but you're including your child, your son, your daughter.
Yes.
It's a blended family now. So if you're willing to take that, and if you're willing to take on everything that comes with bringing a new partner into the relationship, then I would say go for it. But definitely make sure that you have your leadership approval, that you know that you're in the right place to do so, and 3, that you're willing to put in the work and time to, because being a single parent is a lot of work and it's a lot of time. So do you really have that extra time to spare to give to that relationship?
Yeah, and I also wanted to share, kind of answer it from a different perspective, and that's, I know that there's a lot of single moms and dads out there who are like, well, nobody wants to take me with a kid. Like, they kind of put themselves down a bit, or they think that nobody's going to want to take on that extra responsibility. But I think that's a lie from the pit of hell.
Yes.
I do think obviously there's going to be some that's not going to be their preference, but that, again, as we mentioned last episode, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It's just a personal preference, as my
Right.
pastor always tells me. And so there is going to be that person. The Lord is about adopting us, right?
Right.
And so the person who has God's own heart, he will not just see, oh, you come with somebody else, like you're coming with a child, you're coming with another responsibility. It's kind of like that scripture in the Gospels. I was showing you exactly which book. And it says that there was a man, that the kingdom of God is like a man who finds a treasure or a pearl, and he buys an entire field, and he buries that treasure in that field. Sorry, I mixed that up. But then he buries the treasure and then buys the entire field. And so that's what it's going to be with you. It's like when the right man sees you, you are going to be his treasure, and he's going to want to buy the entire thing that comes with you, because you're just that meaningful and just that worth to that person. So don't sell yourself short, and
Yes.
don't limit yourself,
Yes.
and don't treat your I'm not saying, I hope this doesn't sound negative, but don't treat your child as a burden. Like your child, every child is a gift from God.
Yes.
And so the right person is going to see your child as a gift from God. So please, if that's what would keep you from coming,
Yeah.
please don't let that be. Like we love children around these parts.
Yes.
Because again, going back to that generational thing,
Yes.
we understand how much promise there is in one child, how much more when somebody is able to see that in that kid and in you. So
Yes.
definitely don't discredit yourself when it comes to that.
And just so you know, one of the first girls I ever mentored, she was a single mom, and she's out now married. And that was, to some degree, like, is somebody going to want me with my child?
Yeah.
And she found somebody who absolutely loves her child like his own.
Yeah.
And so, yes, there is those people out there. And it was, she did it at the right time. It was she was in a good space. She had worked on herself, and she was like, okay, now I'm ready
Yeah.
to give myself to a person that I know is going to respect where I'm at and what my non-negotiables were. So
That's right.
you're right. I've seen it happen where once it's there, it's there.
Yes. Okay.
It's really good. I
was
love these
beautiful.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
know.
know so many
someone
women just
random.
paused and took a good cry right now.
I hope so, honestly, and
No,
men,
that's-
and men too. 'Cause
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, we have we're a God. We worship a God of redemption.
That's right.
So to hear you guys say that, especially from you, because you mentor women,
Yes.
that is your mentorship, that is your ministry, and to hear you say that is just know, ladies, we're support men and women. I'm sorry, I'm a woman, so it's natural for me to talk to
Yeah,
women. I
right.
apologize to the men. I am not, discrediting you or
No.
dismissing you. I apologize. But yeah, it's a blessing to hear from that, and it's a blessing to know that we worship a God of redemption, and there
Right.
is redemption, and that there is a spouse out there for us, regardless of your past.
Yes.
Because God of redemption, I can repeat that over and over and
Yes.
over, and that just covers the whole topic. You know.
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that. That helps me out too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
He's there. I'm sure as we continue with these podcasts, I can give countless testimonies of what God has done for the single women that I've mentored, and how he shows up. And when you're feeling like you're not worthy or valuable, God is the best husband
That's right.
that you'll ever have. And I'm reminded of that story with Dee Dee, which I'm sure we'll get
Oh,
to
yeah.
at some point. But God's amazing, and you're worthy. Just know you are totally worthy of
Yes.
being loved, and your past does not define your future.
Yes, and don't settle.
Yes, don't settle. Next question is, if I change my mind, can I buy my entry ticket at the door?
I think we had said no to that one, just because we want to make sure that the ratio is complete, from men to women. So I think we had said that, unfortunately not, just because we're going to obviously set up for you guys. We want to prepare.
Yeah,
we're
we're
going to prepare
preparing.
an amazing atmosphere. It's going to be very detailed. So unfortunately, to add on something at the last minute, it wouldn't be fair to the people hosting it,
Yeah.
and neither to the people that are going to be doing the dating, because we want to do, a ratio of one man to one woman.
Yes.
Right. And we know that last minute things happen, but as Denise said, it's just we are preparing for you guys.
Right.
We're setting things up. It's going to be a nice event, guys.
Yeah.
We are investing in this. And so we have
It's a whole experience.
yeah, thank
it's
you.
a whole experience.
It's a whole experience. And so to show up at last minute would be difficult. And then even to just kind of talk about what those even ratios look like and why we're doing that. I mean, for obvious reasons, to have a mixer with an uneven number of
Right.
men and women
Would not work
It's a
out.
hot
a little
mess.
awkward,
It's a hot mess.
So that's what we're trying to keep at an even number. So that's what, as we're taking in signups, we're trying to keep that, even ratio as much as possible. So if you have signed up or you're planning on signing up, we really encourage you, have one of your friends of the opposite gender signed up too, because that you guys are coming in, not as a couple together, but you're bringing in that even ratio. You're helping that out so that everyone who signs up is guaranteed to get in.
And you get that deal.
Yeah, and you get that deal. We got a couple deal.
Yeah, I did want to ask, so when is the last day for them to sign up?
We agreed on the 15th?
Yeah, the
November
15th.
Yeah.
Okay.
November 15th is the absolutely last day. However, get your tickets now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we are going to cap it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we're almost
There's
at
a
that cap line. So
Yeah.
definitely, if you're planning on doing it, thinking about it, do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it now. Like she mentioned earlier, Denise, invest in yourself, invest in this moment.
Yes. Okay, next question is, will there be food?
What's an event without food?
That's what I'm
Right?
saying.
You can't.
We
Of course
serve
there's
the
gonna be
bread of
food,
life.
guys.
Yes, there's going to be light snacks and beverages.
Yes.
We love to eat around here.
Yeah. If not, bring your Lunchables. I'm kidding. Next question. I missed one, I think. Is anyone able to come?
What does that mean?
I guess that kind of goes in line with. No, is
Because
anybody?
we do have. I mean, we do have, it's 25-ish to 39-ish.
Yeah.
So if you're in that range, obviously we are gearing this towards, people of strong faith. So I mean, is this open to anybody? The answer straightforward is no.
Yes.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. We don't have very many guidelines, but we do have a few, and we're definitely gearing it towards a certain demographic.
Yeah, and I believe Southern California also, so this way you can date somebody. It's not like you can fly in from New York and
Right, we're highly
join our
encouraging
event
people
and then go
from the
back
To that one
community.
UK
Yeah.
listener, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. We're highly encouraging this for people in the community, at least nearby.
Yes.
You don't have to live, in town, but definitely near enough to where if you do happen to find somebody you want to take out, you're not driving, from Northern California or from Mexico just to try to meet up, Like if you're willing, go for it. That's your call. I'm just saying it might be a little easier if we stick it to the community.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
SoCal. Mhm.
All right. Next question is, should I bring anything? Yessie, I love your answer for this.
Oh, I said an open mind and a willingness to participate, because the last thing we need is a Debbie Downer when we have to do an activity,
Yeah.
right? And they're like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So come with an open mind. Don't come closed off already and say, ew, I don't like them. Just come with an open mind. Like,
Yes.
you might be surprised.
Yeah, and one thing that we want to emphasize is everybody's going to be doing the same thing.
Yes.
And so one of the things that we advertise is leave it up to us to get rid of the awkwardness, right? And so it's only going to be awkward if you yourself make it awkward. Because our plan is to make everybody do the same thing. Everybody's going to be in the same activity at the same time. That way, if you want to approach somebody or if you're being approached, you don't necessarily feel like the spotlight is on you. I can't tell you how many times it's been so awkward for somebody to make a move because like everybody's eyes are on that person or, something shifts in the room.
That makes sense.
And so we just want to make it like everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's going to have the same opportunity to connect with one another. And in doing that, at the end, that's when we're going to do these it's kind of be like kind of connect cards. And so also what for men, what we're going to ask is that you bring your information, right? So your phone number or your Instagram handle, whatever you want. And at the very end, you're going to have the opportunity to give that to a woman. And so that woman is going to have 48 hours to respond to you. And so one of our guidelines is we do not tolerate ghosting. And so if we hear of one person ghosting, they're not going to be invited to our event again, furthermore, until they make it right. Because we do believe that there is honor among that. And one thing that the fear of the Lord has taught me is the seeds that you sow definitely reap a harvest.
Yes.
So when you're dating, whether it's somebody that you don't like or somebody that you're like, dude, like that guy was a waste of my time or that girl was definitely not it, be careful how you treat that person, because the Lord is protective over his children.
Yes.
And so going back to the question, bring a card for men, bring a card with your information. And then from then on, you're going to be able to give it to any woman that you find interesting. If you find somebody that's interesting or that, caught your attention. And then that woman's going to have those 48 hours to respond to you, to reach out to you. And then we will follow up just to make sure that the guidelines were followed. And again, that just creates a safe environment where the woman is protected because, we need to be protected. And the men have that opportunity to be men, to pursue somebody. And for you to feel that, that openness without feeling like, I don't know, just weird about it,
Yeah.
I
I do want to talk to the women a little bit more about that too, is because so the idea is that we're encouraging the men to be the ones to give out their information, right? Not so much the women, we're just encouraging the men to do it. And so that's if a man comes up to you and says, hey, I really liked having this conversation with you, can we continue talking, or whatever pickup line he uses, and he's going to extend that information to you. That is your responsibility in that moment to decide whether or not you want to maintain a conversation with him outside the event. Again, we do not tolerate ghosting, and I know from experience it can be hard to dismiss a man who's being polite and who's being nice and handing you his number. So out of politeness, we tend to just take it and go, thanks, and we kind of tuck it in our pocket and then go, I'm never talking to that guy again. That's not okay. I understand the heart behind it is you don't want to be rude, you don't want to be dismissive, you don't want to hurt his feelings, but it's so much more, there's no integrity in saying, yes, I will contact you, and then not contacting you. That's wrong.
Agreed.
So we're encouraging the women, ladies, it's okay to be bold. It's okay to take a stance and say, you know what, I'm just not interested, thank you.
Right.
And so we're just encouraging you right then and there. If you're not interested, don't take the man's information. Don't get his hopes up. That's not okay.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand that when a man is giving you his number, when a man is putting himself out there to, first of all, go to this event, he also is nervous.
Right.
He's also stepping out. And so to kind of get his hopes up and then just never contact him, that's absolutely not okay. So we're encouraging this at the events and also just in real life, when you're out and about and somebody comes and tries to talk to you, if you're not interested, just say so. You don't have to be polite. Oh, be polite. But you don't have to take the number. You don't have to encourage any kind of, potential relationship or communication.
You don't have to delay the inevitable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Please don't. So we're really wanted to talk to the women. I want to talk to the women because I've seen it so often, and I've seen a lot of men really get discouraged by it too, and that's just not okay. So it's okay to say, in fact, we highly encourage it, and we're expecting you to just say, no, thank you, if you're not interested.
Yes, agreed.
Yes, and men, don't feel like you're being rejected. Just think of it as, okay, there's another opportunity.
Yes.
Let's not get
absolutely.
offended.
Don't be like Dwight. Don't shun.
Yeah. That's a The Office reference right there for those who don't know.
If you know, you know.
Yes.
And if you don't know,
Now you know.
now you know. Okay, you guys. So as we mentioned, we were going to do part 2. So now we're going to close it up. Any final thoughts that you ladies have that you want to share?
I just want to say this is awesome. This is great. I feel so happy to be here with you guys, and I'm so happy to see all the responses that we got.
Right.
I feel like these questions even helped me out for some reason.
Yeah, honestly.
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, this has been fantastic. I'm so excited for this event, and please bring in more questions, guys. We absolutely love discussing it, and we love to share our responses on here. And we already have discussed some questions that we all have a little different views and opinions on,
Yeah.
and
And
so
I
you're
love
going to
it.
get to hear that as well.
Yes.
So we're excited to do these. We're excited to discuss these, and please keep sending them.
Yes. And one thing I want to add, me, I love to get deep.
Yes.
One thing that really stood out to me, Shekinah, when you're saying, we encourage women to say, hey, like out of integrity, right? No, it's okay. but you're doing more than that. You're teaching yourself how to set boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think we live in such a society and culture where it's either too far, right? Like you're like super on the other side, but then also on the other side where you have no self-respect, where you have no integrity, where you have no boundaries.
Right.
So even as a mom, I've had to really learn how to teach I have 3 girls, no is a healthy word.
Yeah.
And I was raised thinking no wasn't a healthy word. So even in saying no, you're really learning how to rewire, generational even curses or, generational things that were once, seemed not okay or, kind of cliche or even taboo. I guess that's the right word. And no, no is okay to say. No is a healthy word. And that's actually something that I told you, Shekinah, that you taught me. You taught me that no was a healthy word. And that for me was a game changer. Big time. And it was a very liberating. And that's why there's such a stronghold in being able to say no, because you don't realize the freedom on the other side of it. So wanted to add that.
That's really good.
That's
I
really
didn't know
good.
that. I like that.
I love it. Love it. Okay, so once again, we're at Greater Works Christian Church, where His presence is our
Yes.
purpose. Check us out every Sunday at
Yes.
10:30 a.m. We have the best leaders in the entire world.
We
No
do.
offense to other churches.
Oh, also shout out to our listeners that have visited us.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome.
By the way, yeah, we've had some of our visitors, some of people that have signed up for the event come to our church, and it's also honestly
Yes.
been amazing. Again, we're praying for you guys. We're laboring because it's not just the
We're
event.
rooting.
Yeah, we're rooting for you
We
guys. Because we just want to see you win, and we want you to experience whatever God has for you. We're literally just the vessels, and the Lord is the one that's creating the appointment.
Yes.
So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Check us out for part 2. Thursdays are the days that these episodes are released. So check us out.
Yes.
Stay tuned. Subscribe. Download the episode.
Yes.
Download the episode. And check us out on Instagram at inthevine.dating. And our website is inthevinedating.com if you would like to sign up already. If you have any questions, send them in.
Yes, and we also have Eventbrite. If you just type in the Vine Dating, you will find our event as well.
Yes. All right, you guys. And don't forget, pray for your single friends. We're struggling out here, okay? All right, bye.
Bye.